it's the icon of higher education in Arkansas. And even people who have never gone to the university, if they've seen this building, they understand better what a university is about. It reaches for the sky, it aspires to be something greater than what it has been before. And that's a great thing for a building to do. Well, the university was founded in 1871, and classes were supposed to start early 1872. Of course, we didn't have a building. Had been a farm up to that point. The Board of Trustees quickly established some wood frame buildings to hold classes in to start with, but the first thing they did after that was start looking at a real substantial permanent building. They visited a bunch of university campuses, University of Illinois among them, and they liked what they saw at the University of Illinois and decided they would try to get the architect for that building to design them a similar building. And here the bell tower, the taller tower, ended up on the north side, and the shorter clock tower ended up on the left side. And there were two basic myths that sprang up about why the towers were switched from Illinois to Arkansas. One was that the contractor for the building had gotten drunk one night and accidentally turned the plans over and built them the wrong way, which doesn't seem completely logical to me to get that completely mixed up. The other myth was that the North Tower, being a symbol maybe for the Union and for the winning side of the Civil War, maybe that was why it happened. And the first Board of Trustees were primarily Republican appointees. It was Reconstruction period of Arkansas. And so there might be some truth to that idea. It's hard to know. There's nothing that I've seen in terms of documents that say that. One local historian, though, seems to have the clearest explanation, and that is that the South Tower is more easily seen from the Fayetteville Square, and it makes more sense that if you're going to put a clock tower someplace, you should put it where it can be seen most easily, and putting it on the south side made a lot of sense. I don't know which one of those is true, if any, but somehow we ended up with the clock tower on the opposite side of the University of Illinois. By the 1970s, the building was 100 years old. It had gone through a lot of changes and was suffering some. Obviously, a building built in 1875 wasn't fitted out for some of the things that we need buildings to be able to do today. It didn't have air conditioning, it didn't have electricity, it didn't have running water, it didn't have elevators. All of those kind of things had to be retrofitted into the shell of Old Main. Luckily, the design of Old Main allowed it some flexibility. The north wing and the south wing are both built to be fairly open, but can be subdivided. So if you had a space that was a big space, like the armory was in the basement at one point, later on you could come in and subdivide that into professors' offices without affecting the integrity of the structure of the building. But by the 70s, enough problems had cropped up that the university was looking at two options. One was to tear it down, build something new, or the other was to spend a lot of money to renovate it and try to bring it up to a point where that you could treat it as a 21st century kind of building. And luckily for us, I think, the chancellors at that time, the Board of Trustees at that time, the professors, the students, the alumni, they all got behind a project to raise money to renovate the building, and it stood empty for about 10 years. But once they got going, they turned it back into a building that could be useful and functional for another 100 years, I hope.